Hey everyone, we're here today with Brian Crumbaker with Brightway Insurance, and we want to learn a little bit more about Brian, his company, what he does, and how he can help you make better decisions about your insurance coverage.
Thanks, Skip. Appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more about Brightway and myself. So my wife Lori and I started the agency. Brightway is actually the largest personal lines insurance agency in the country. We have over 170 locations across 20 states and over $500 million in revenue. So my Brightway is actually a franchise. We're the first one in San Diego County. And what sets us apart is because of the size and strength of our parent, we have about 100 insurance carriers on our platform. We offer every personal lines product that's available out there. So what that means is more choice, more products, more carriers, and better prices for our clients.
Fantastic. So you guys have a local office, and you guys here in Carlsbad?
We are, yep. Our office is over on the island at the corner of Faraday and College.
And then with that, you've been involved in helping, so it's not only home insurance, but auto insurance. Do you guys have any other coverages that you guys offer?
We do. So in addition to home, we cover auto, life, motorcycle, RV, boat, you name it. Anything on the personal side of your life that is of value to you, we can insure that.
So, Brian, we're talking about insurance coverage, and especially in Southern California and in Carlsbad, we've come across some areas now that are going to be maybe a little more difficult to insure, or maybe in some extreme cases not able to insure at all. Is that correct?
That's true. A lot's changed in San Diego County, and particularly the Carlsbad area in the last year. So wildfires are obviously a long-time issue in the California market, and more recently, as technology's gotten better with insurance companies, they've become a lot more fine and specific in terms of how they evaluate risk. And so many neighborhoods in the past that typically were easier to insure have now become very difficult. So you can get out in front of that by calling somebody like me, and actually I can run an address through a risk analyzer, and I can tell you whether the view of that risk has actually changed. So whether you're buying or selling, it's really important information to know. Right. You don't want that to come up at the end as you're getting closer to close with an insurability issue.
Right. We've talked about that before, where people will wait until the very end to get an insurance quote, and they're getting close to closing escrow. And they end up with a shock when they realize that it's going to be much more expensive to insure their home than they originally thought. So I agree with Brian. I think to have that conversation sooner rather than later is definitely beneficial. So, but with your company, you have the ability to not be locked in with just one insurance company. You can broker out to several others. So there may be one that won't insure or going to be drastically cheaper, correct?
That's exactly right. That's a big benefit of working with Brightway, is the number of carriers on our platform. There really isn't going to be a risk that we won't be able to find a market or insurance for. So that's why getting me involved early, I can get to work early and find a market for you.
Right, perfect. Okay, so another thing we were talking about earlier, Ryan, was some of the pitfalls out there with insurance coverage. And what you see sometimes out there when you're evaluating people's insurance coverage out there.
Sure, yeah, there's a number of pitfalls, but two we'll talk about today is, one, people like the convenience of an impound account. So they have one payment in the month, which is their mortgage, their taxes, and their insurance. And while that's convenient, it can also get lost in the shuffle. We've noticed with a couple of folks that they've actually been paying for 2 insurance policies in their impound account. So you want to make sure at a minimum yearly you're looking at not only your impound account but your insurance coverage in general, just to make sure that you're paying for the coverage that you actually need and not anymore.
Right.
The second thing, and this is a big one, and this has to do with how much should you cover your home for. The common misconception is I should cover it for the market value, what you can sell your home for, and that's too much. When insurance companies look at what they want to insure your house for, it's replacement cost. So that is not worrying about land or any other market factors. It is, what is the cost of the materials and the labor to rebuild your home if it had a catastrophic event? And what you should be focusing on when you're looking out in the market is labor costs and material costs to know whether or not your dwelling coverage is the right amount. So again, with dwelling, just make sure you're focused on its replacement cost. It will be a lot less typically than what your market value is. And you just want to make sure you're checking up on that annually, because the market can change in terms of what it's going to cost to replace. And then one last thing, especially when it comes to catastrophes, as you think about earthquakes, the replacement cost on your home will go up tremendously in a catastrophic event, because now there's very little supply and a lot of demand. So that's one of the things you want to think about as you evaluate your dwelling coverage.
Right. Yeah, good point. And then so on an annual basis, will you have some access to those types of figures or be able to help people come up with a figure that they should be calculating when looking at replacement costs?
Sure, absolutely. So with many of the carriers on our platform, they actually will do a cost analysis. They have what's called a cost calculator that takes all the publicly available data that's in there, along with information that you would provide me as an agent to say, I've done this kind of update, I have these kind of cabinets, etc. I'll load that all in and it'll generate a replacement cost based on the currently available data.
That makes sense. A little bit more about your company and what you guys can provide as a service.
Sure, so we talked about that a little earlier in the video, but three main things. Quotes and our advice is always free. So you never have to pay for that. A clue report, which is the history of claims being made on the property that you're considering buying or selling. We can do that for you as well at no charge, right? We actually quote the insurance on it. And then last, I'm a notary, so if you ever need any notarial services, whether it be just basic signatures or loan documentation, I do that at no charge as well.
Okay, great. And the clue report, I think, is important from our aspect because we do have people that want to evaluate the property for past history when they're considering writing an offer on a home or even a step further in the disclosure process. So that clue report is something that we used to be able to order as a real estate agent. We can no longer do that. So it's great to have Brian on board where he can actually help us and assist us with that so you can make a better informed decision when you're going through the disclosure process. All right, Brian, thanks again for stopping by. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. We know you're busy and have obviously places to be and people to help. So how can we get in touch with you if anybody out there wants to get in touch with you?
Sure, you can call us at 760-517-3363. You can get to our website at www.brightwaycrumbaker.com, or you can certainly email me at brian.crumbaker@brightway.com.